I definitely thought that
Trigger
Jalen
word.
Brunson deserved to be first team. Believe it or not, even ahead of Luka.
Stephen A. Smith is delusional. He is absolutely delusional. Because even when he votes Luka onto the All-NBA first team, he finds a way to discredit him. Like, this man is absolutely delusional. Some of these things that come out of this guy's mouth makes no sense. And obviously, you know that he thought he said Jalen Brunson should have been All-NBA first team over Luka. And first of all, there's no logic. The Dallas Mavericks won 50 games, and Luka averaged 34, 9, and 10. He may have had, statistically, the best year we've seen in the modern NBA. Statistically. Defensively, his best defensive season ever. He was better defensively than Brunson. But Stephen A. Smith's reasoning was so dumb. So the reasoning was, part of the reasoning was New York with a second seed, Dallas with a fifth seed. They both won 50 games. And Dallas sat Luka for the last 2 games of the year. 2 winnable games because they didn't care about getting the 4th seed. Because they were locked, as soon as they were locked into play Clippers, they sat their players. Whereas, what's-the-names went on a run. The New York Knicks won their last couple of games. Who knows, maybe them trying to win and push for that second seed is the reason why so many players got hurt. I don't think it's the case, but who knows. Maybe being 3rd seed would have made absolutely no difference because they won in 6. Maybe getting to that 3rd seed, or not 3rd seed because they won 6. Maybe getting to that 3rd seed would have made no difference because they would have faced the Pacers in the first round. Maybe without the injuries, they beat the Pacers in the first round and then go and play against, who knows, Milwaukee in the second round. Giannis still hurt. They might have picked up the injuries anyway and been in the conference finals. Who knows? But they won the same games. And then also, part of the reason was, according to Stephen A. Smith, Brunson is 6 foot tall. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? What difference does that make that he's undersized? What? That's a relevant point. And also, Luka had way more help. When Luka had Kyrie there, they played like at a 60 win pace. I know Julius Randle went down. Trust me, I know Julius Randle went down. But like, they both had very, very similar records with injuries. I know OG Anunoby was hurt as well. But like, Kyrie missed quite a lot of the season. The start of the season, the Dallas Mavericks didn't look great. And saying, that he had all these other players. Like, one, PJ Washington was not good in the regular season. And 2, like, before Kyrie came back, Luka had what looked like the least help he's ever had. Like, genuinely looked like the least help he's ever had. It looked like they had nothing. Like, Dante Exum, for a decent chunk of the season, was looking like their second best player. But again, that doesn't fit the narrative. Brunson had an unbelievable year. He carried New York Knicks. And also, part of his reasoning was, when Randall went down, he averaged 31 points a game. Well, Luka Doncic averaged nearly 35. So, that's, again, Luka Doncic was the better defender. Had, I'm going to say, as far as help, equal amount. Was in a tougher conference, had the exact same record. Like, literally, you can't use seeding against them. They had the same record. They both won 50 games. And also, averaged more in every statistical category, shot a better percentage, shot more efficiently. Like, what? Like, it just makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And look, Brunson was unbelievable. And do you want to know why people are saying this right now? Because Brunson's probably had a better playoffs than Luka. That's simply put what it is. Because Stephen A. Smith put Luka Doncic in his first team All-NBA. There was one person who didn't have Luka Doncic in his first team All-NBA, and that was that Greek dude who had some of the craziest votes. He's the guy who said Giannis was MVP. He had some crazy votes. Like, he hadn't even his voting was almost as crazy as the guy who loves Domantas Sabonis and the guy who voted for, I think, what did Kendrick Perkins say? Oh, Brandon Miller wasn't on either of the All-Rookie teams. Brandon Miller wasn't on either of the All-Rookie teams, and Jalen Brunson was second in MVP voting. And as well as that, Stephen A. Smith's logic as well. Oh, I couldn't have taken Shea Gilgeous-Alexander off the first team. Don't take Luke off. Take Tatum off. We saw on the defensive team, you can put all centers. It doesn't matter. Just take Tatum off. If you want to say, honestly, Brunson over Tatum, fine. You know what? I actually don't think Jalen Brunson being on the All-NBA first team is that crazy because it's positionless. But over Luka Doncic is a joke. Has Jalen Brunson been better in the playoffs than Luka? Arguably. Probably. He probably has been better than Luka in the playoffs. And I'm not going to knock it. Like, I once called Jalen Brunson the most overrated player in the NBA, and this is why. This is why. Because he's in a conversation at a level above where he should be. Jalen Brunson is a fringe top 10 player in the NBA, which is crazy. And by fringe top 10, I mean like that fringe top 10 area is like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, trying to think off the top of my head who else is in that category. But like, he's not at that like top guys level. You could argue even maybe Steph Curry goes into that fringe top 10 category. Jason Tatum, as in somewhere between like 6 and 10. Because I think the top 5 is fairly set in stone of Luka, Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, Shea. They are the top 5 players in the world. And around that, Anthony Edwards as well. That like next section of probably 10 players where it really is preference where you put them. I only think the top 5 where you rank them is based on preference. And then I think there's a group of about 8 or 9 between 6 and like 13, 14 that are not interchangeable, but like there's an opinion. You can have an opinion and switch around with that. And Jalen Brunson's in that conversation. But to put Jalen Brunson in that Luka Doncic conversation is wild. Or to say that he had a better year than what is one of the best regular seasons anyone has had in the history of the sport is crazy. And all he had to do was say, instead of Jason Tatum, and none of this would be happening. But no, Stephen A. Smith was the champion of Jason Tatum as MVP. Like, the MVP race was literally, when Embiid went down, this is what the MVP race. Embiid way out in front, Jokic in second, big gap, Luka, little gap, Shea, big gap, Tatum. But as soon as Joel Embiid goes down, Stephen A. Smith tries to change the entire narrative to say that it should be between Tatum and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Because you know what? Stephen A. Smith, when it comes to hating non-Americans, and a lot of people are like, oh, Stephen A. Smith doesn't like white players. Like, that is just not true. He just doesn't like non-Americans. We've seen it with Ohtani. The stuff he said about Ohtani. We've seen it with the Nigerian basketball team. We've seen it over the years of him, anytime somebody has a foreign name, he makes fun of it. We even saw it with the Porzingis rant. When he literally admitted to never watching Porzingis play and went on a rant because the Knicks drafted Porzingis. In what has been the Knicks' best draft pick. I'm trying to think, when have the Knicks made a better draft pick than Porzingis? Especially for how Porzingis played early in his career. Let me think. When have they made a better draft pick? You could say Mitchell Robinson as far as value is concerned. No, all the guys they've got have been acquired through trades or free agency. So as far as draft picks are concerned, especially high draft picks, Danilo Gallinari, no. Frank Ntilikina, no. They didn't have one in 2013. In 2012, I can't remember. I think they took Shumpert with a late pick. That was a pretty good pick at the time, considering how well he played to start his career. Then we look at their first round picks from the mid-2000s, when they took, I think they took Ronaldo Balkan with a first round pick, Nate Robinson, David Lee. David Lee wasn't a bad pick. But like, Porzingis has been their best pick, arguably, since Patrick Ewing, maybe? Am I right? Patrick Ewing? And he literally went and crucified him on the air. And I could guarantee, and it was the exact same with the Ousmane Dieng pick. With Ousmane Dieng. Like, the Knicks didn't even take Ousmane Dieng. The Thunder did. They traded him. And as soon as the Knicks took what was seen as the highest upside player in the draft, he went berserk. Do you want to know why he went berserk? Because the Knicks didn't get Johnny Davis. If you look back in the 2022 NBA draft, he went crazy because the Knicks traded their pick to OKC, who got this ultra high upside player, and was so annoyed the Knicks didn't get Johnny Davis. Like, Stephen A. Smith is absolutely delusional. Absolutely delusional. And yeah, no surprise there. No surprise that he can make a somewhat reasonable statement saying Jalen Brunson should be All NBA first team, but instead of taking out the very obvious fifth best player on that team in Jason Tatum, he makes sure that he takes out the historically great season of a non-American. And if you asked Stephen A. Smith about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm not entirely sure that he would even know himself that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is Canadian.